so mad right now. I just did this entire video without the microphone. So now I have to redo the entire video again. I guess the good news out of that is I'm prepared. It's okay. Hi, I'm Mike, the intuitive psychic, or tip. I love that, right? Because you can say just a tip, any old tip. Good tip, you know what I mean? If you'd like to tip, go for it. But I'm here to help. So in the first video, we learned about the major arcana, the minor arcana, some of the cards, the suits, all that, how to tell them apart. But I wanted to take a little bit of a different approach this time because this kind of feeds into as the progression goes of these videos. And listen, I did not find tarot cards. They sort of found me. I had the gift. I didn't know it. My aunt taught me, and I was receptive to it. I have a brother and sister that don't even believe in this, right? So the point is, they find you, but you have to have certain characteristics or qualities in order to read them, I think. Otherwise, it's going to be, and you can develop them, absolutely, but if you don't have them, it's going to be sort of a messy ride because you're not going to understand necessarily why you're there to do it, right? Like, everybody thinks this is fun and glamorous, and it is, I guess, sort of, but if you're meant to have the gift and you're doing it, it's not that it's glamorous, it's just you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But it's draining. There's a lot of energy that comes out of reading cards, and a lot of, you're helping somebody sometimes at their best or worst moments, right? So it's they hold it high, like hold it highly, regard it as something, respect it, right? So you want to make sure that you exude some of these qualities that I'm going to share, just so that you're not coming across as somebody who's unbelievable to the querent, the person getting the card done, and it's going to save your reputation. So if you don't have some of these qualities, start honing in on some of them. The first one is belief. If you don't believe in the tarot cards, and I would believe that there are some people out there reading tarot cards that are not fully committed to saying, like, hey, this is real, get out, right? Don't ever do something if you don't believe in it, because if you don't believe in it, it's going to show through, right? So you have to have the belief in there. I fully do. I mean, I've been doing this since 2006. And if you don't believe it, as mentioned, it's going to show through. There goes your reputation, right? That person that just sat in front of you for a reading is now going to not recommend you to friends, or if your name comes up suddenly and you did a reading for that person and they're now telling somebody, don't go to him or her because, I don't know, I didn't get the feeling like they were accurate, right? Belief, first and foremost, right? The second one is compassion. Why compassion? Because you're going to meet people, as mentioned, on their worst day. You're going to do a reading and you're going to bring up some old hurts, old tapes, old scars that they did not see coming, nor did you, and it's okay because that happens. And it's going to be tough for them. I've had people start crying. I've had people who needed to take a break because it got painful for a minute there. But the beauty in that is, if you have compassion, you know how to solve that problem, right? You know how to help them, calm them down. Whether that's taking an extra couple cards and saying, hey, I'm going to go the extra mile for you because I really want to help you figure this out. It could be not charging them. It could be, saying, hey, your next reading's on me. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you have to give away things to be compassionate, but you need to zero in and know when compassion needs to come into play, because you don't want to get involved to the sense that you don't want to be tied to the outcome. You don't want to do the dirty work. You don't want to inherit the energy and the emotion that's going to come with this person's reading, because that's not fair to you, right? And that's not your job. But you want to have compassion because you're there to help them, right? And if you weren't there to help them, you wouldn't be doing this. So understand that compassion has to come into play, and you're going to meet people who are going to, from all different realms, people who have a really good grip on their emotions and people that just absolutely do not, people that understand how the world works, people that don't. And so your job as a compassionate human being is going to go really far. The next one, innate wisdom, right? This is just, you've ever heard somebody say you're an old soul, or you just feel like, how do we know this? Like, why do this is what I think happened, or this is what I think, and you just know that that's true, but you couldn't prove it if somebody were to say, show me, right? That innate wisdom is what enables you to read these cards and sort of be confident in them, but also that's universal knowledge, right? The universe is knowledge to you, not universal as everybody knows, but it's knowledge the universe gave you. Like, that's why it's that innate wisdom. That's your signal, your green light to use it in a tarot card reading. You know what I mean? As just a sort of like a reference. Like, you think about it as a library and all the books on the shelves. That's what that innate wisdom is for, so that you're able to use it in a tarot card reading and share it with people. Cool? Discernment is the next one. Discernment is huge as well, because you are going to definitely need to know when you do, a 3-card spread, like, you've got the 3 of hearts, you've got the 4 I'm sorry, the Nine of Cups, and you've got the Knight of Wands. If you were to put all three of these cards together, you would need to discern what does this mean in relation to whether they ask you a question. They may not even ask you a question. You may just start pulling cards, and these are the three that come up. You need to tell somebody about them. Obviously, whether they're upside down or right side up is going to make a difference, and the order that they're in is going to make a difference. You need to know, as we said, the major arcana. Is there a major arcana? Here's a test. Is there a major arcana card in one of these three? There is not. Is there a minor arcana card? Oh, duh. Right? So we know we've got some wands, we've got some swords, and we've got some, cups, and we've got some swords. So we know we're dealing with what? Talents. We know we're dealing with fulfillment, and we're dealing with fears. These three cards right away would tell me that this person probably has a fear of success, a fear of moving on, because in the past they've been burned and they're afraid to move on. Then they don't believe in themselves just yet, but they do have some deeper feeling that they could have it. And their outcome is just perfect. If they would just get out of their own way, unless it's upside down, then this card has a whole different meaning, which I'll let you figure that out. But discernment really is knowing how to work the cards, deal with the information that the universe is giving you, present it to the querent, to the person getting the reading, and have it coming across as confident, but also accurate. They're not going to ask you anything that they don't know. They may ask you a question, all right, let me rephrase that. They may ask you a question they don't have the answer to, right? But they might have been thinking about it, right? They're going to know if you're accurate or not. You're not going to tell them, you're going to tell them very few surprises in a tarot card reading. You're going to either affirm or not confirm or not confirm certain things, or affirm that like where they're going is right. You know what I mean? There are going to be some surprises, absolutely, like, things they didn't see, but it's not going to be oftentimes this big wow thing, like, so just know that. Kindness is the next one. I don't mean kindness like I'm nice, right? You could be the biggest biatch in the world and be kind. Why? Because you're actually doing somebody a favor. If you watched, I don't know, if you saw a door, but some idiot was walking into the wall 6 times in a row, you'd probably be like, hey, bro, just move over like 6 inches. There's a door that will let you up. Oh, okay, right? You're not going to watch them keep walking into the wall, although it might be fun. I'm just kidding. That's being kind, is helping somebody, even though you have to like sometimes be a jerk about it or be mean about it. And I don't mean a jerk like a way, like you feel like a jerk because you had to tell them like if you were a manager, you'd be like, listen, you're just not working up to the level that you need to be. I'd like to get you there, but I need you to acknowledge that, and we need to move on to do that, right? That's being kind. Being kind is telling somebody like, you're kind of a dick a lot to women, and that's not cool. You need to be able to tell, that's kindness, As long as within your heart, that kindness means you really want the better outcome for that person, you care about their sort of progression, that's what kindness is. And you have to do that sometimes with tarot. You're going to have to tell them things they don't want to hear all the time. It's not all fun and games, right? Like, you're going to have to tell them the hard things that they don't want to hear, and they're going to have to go with that because that's what they want. They came for truth. Give them truth. But you can do it in a tactful way. That is the next characteristic or quality. Listen, I've done I don't do group readings a lot for obvious reasons. It's just a lot of energy. But you may end up doing a couple's tarot card reading together, right? There may be something revealed in there that you don't want to probably say to both of them because you don't know you don't know everything about the relationship, what they've shared with each other. Sometimes I've taken people's side. I said, listen, I'm going to tell her this. If she wants to tell you, that's on her. I just don't think that it's my place to say it out loud. Now, what you're going to do. You're sort of shitstorm because in the car ride home, you're like, all right, what do you say, right? Well, that's for them to decide. Like, who cares? At that point, it's on them. But you need to be tactful because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. You don't want to come across as abrasive or rude. You just need to think about how would you want to be treated in that situation and then do the same for them, right? You can still tell them what they need to know, but you can be tactful. You could still deliver news that they don't want to hear because it usually involves them having to change in a certain way or behave differently, but you can do it in a tactful way. Make sense? Next one is one of 3 psychic abilities. There are 3. It's either you see, or you feel. Which psychic ability do I have? What if I told you I have all 3? I don't. I know. And it's hard, and this is how like, why am I even teaching this? Because I'm sort of like, I don't want to say a master teacher. I don't want to say I understand this so well that I think the universe is like, start teaching people, because you can't take it with you when you die, right? Not that I'm anywhere near close, although if I was, cool, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, is this planet really that fun? But and that means the universe, just the knowledge, it just lets you know. It's in your head. You see auras, you can see hurts, you can see pain, you can see happiness, you can see glows. I can't see any of that unless I've had like 6 shots of vodka, and I don't even drink hard liquor. But that's how you sort of like that. It's not like that, but you get what I mean. Like, you can see that person's energy. The other one is you feel. It's like empathy, right? And I think that's probably the strongest of all 3, because when you can feel somebody's pain, you can feel somebody's emotion, it just tells you everything, right? Even knowing, like, you sort of know the emotion, because the knowing is like the level step up from there. But I still think the feeling is the more powerful one, because you just know, right? So do you have to have one of those 3? I would say, like, probably, because if you don't, how are you knowing how to do this? Like, the universe, it connects with one of those 3, and if you don't have one of those, I'm not saying you can't develop it, but you got to develop that quickly, because without that, you're missing out on too much. Like, you wouldn't be able. I just don't understand how you'd be able to do the reading, honestly. And if that's news that some of you are taking hard right now, if you just heard that, I'm sorry, like, that I'm being tactful, but like, you got to kind of know, like, this is for you, right? And if you think you have the ability and you just haven't brought it out yet, that's okay. Work on cultivating it and bringing it out. In fact, try that. If it comes out, then it's there. And listen, I didn't know I was able to do this. Like, it was there, but it's okay. All is not lost. You'll be fine. I promise. I just like to stick my foot in my mouth. Oh, all right. So moving on from that psychic ability, save that one, didn't I? Curiosity is the next one. This will help you bring out your psychic ability when you get curious. Start reading people. Start walking past them, and do you feel an energy from them? If you do, is it know, see, feel? Go up to them, be like, I think I'm psychic. I just got this message. Does this resonate with you? I was at a Lady Gaga concert, because why wouldn't I be? I love Lady Gaga. And I think I had friends that didn't believe me that I was psychic. And I'm like, well, I'll just go and prove it then. So there was a woman 2 rows in front of me. I'm like, watch this. So I got out of my seat. I went down there. I'm like, I tapped her, and they could probably see me, but they couldn't hear me. And I'm like, I literally said to her, I go, what significance does the butterfly have with you? I'm seeing a butterfly. I'm not seeing a butterfly, but I'm being told butterfly. She goes, that is so weird that you just said that. I'm like, why? She pulls out of her purse this drawing that her daughter had done of a butterfly. And she's like, on her phone. Well, it was on her phone, but she goes, she just did this. And I'm like, well, now you believe in psychics, right? Now, listen, I was just being a smartass to my friends, but like, I knew the butterfly, right? So I went to her. The thing is, when you go to somebody like that, like, I'm getting way off tangent here, but I'll get to that in another lesson. But like, you can cultivate that, right? Like, several years earlier, I would not have been able to do that. But curiosity will help you grow and learn, because you're going to also learn things like, what does if I can find it, what does like the 6 mean on this card? What does the 6 mean in numerology? And is the 6 parallel to here? Well, there's a lot of parallels between numerology and tarot, and even astrology and your zodiac sign. And if you saw a 2, you might think, well, all right, the Gemini is a 2. It's a twin sign, so is Pisces, my sign, in a certain way, in a certain manner. You're going to start seeing a lot of connections there. And I even told you in the last deck, or the last video, that the Ace of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, and Ace of Cups, they all look very similar, right? So there's connections within there. Start looking at connections. That curiosity will help you bridge more of those connections, and it's going to make you a more powerful reader. Pure desire to help. Listen, that's why you're here. They didn't come to you because they didn't need some help, or they didn't want to learn about them. They didn't want to grow in some way. Your job is to do that. Not only do you read the cards, but you should offer, if you can, suggestions on how to move past a certain roadblock, or what they might do to work past a certain circumstance. That's your job, right? You're not just there to tell them like, oh, you're effed, right? No. You should never do that to begin with. Tell them how to move on. Give them some strategies, some tactics, right? That's going to make you a great reader, because you're going to give them, now you've just given them so much to think about. And I'll tell you, if they didn't know you were, like, if you read at parties and they don't know you're there, they're going to leave like, that was a great party. You know why? You were probably the reason it was a great party. They went in, they had a good time, they learned something about themselves. They were, so that's a cool thing. And lastly, honesty. You have to be honest. And if above all else you don't have any of these other ones, have the honesty. I'll tell you why. The minute you start making things up, you're taking a real big jab at your credibility. And the last thing you want to do is hurt your credibility in this, or you're not going to get clients. And what kind of service are you doing somebody if you're not being honest with them anyway? If you don't know the answer to something, it's okay. It's okay. Just say, I'm not getting a read on this right now, or I can't make out what this card is supposed to be telling me. Let's come back to it in a minute. Or in worst cases, or more extreme, you know what? I want to make sure I'm right on this. I'm going to consult with the book on this one, right? You don't want to do that a whole lot, right? You need to come across as credible. You need to know your stuff. But don't lie to them. Don't lie and tell them something that they think now is true and it's not, because you wanted to protect your ego. It's okay to say, I don't know. And sometimes the universe will even challenge you. It's like it's giving you a quiz to see if you really know what you're doing. So just keep that in mind. Don't ever tell somebody something that is untrue, at least to your knowledge, you know what I mean? But if you don't know it and you don't know it, don't pretend to know it. Cool? Now you know everything, almost. We have so many more videos to go. If you like what I'm sharing with you, please subscribe, please follow, please like, however you want to do it. I don't care in that order. If you've got a question, ask me. And listen, honestly, if I've helped you so far become a better reader, or if I've helped you understand this, I'm so grateful. Have a good afternoon or evening or whatever the hell time zone you're in.